Dear colleagues, let me present the result of our scientific work. The presentation structure has been depicted on the second slide. What is a semantic kernel? It is a set of keywords which annotate the real definition of a product or a service in virtual space. Thus, a semantic kernel is described as annotation of a piece of knowledge, usually at the very moment we are embedding the kernel to website content. The simplest approach to considering the semantic kernel is to represent the source text as a bag of terms with its subsequent clustering. As it was established, we should distinguish three clusters of terms: geography, product or service, and time. Slide number 3. Thus, the semantic kernel can be represented as a trigram or a set of three questions: what, where, when. We present the attempt to describe the semantic kernel mathematically and algorithmically. We assume that we have e-content as source material. In other words, we have a set of HTML documents as initial information. Each document contains many keywords. Therefore, two models are proposed in this work. The first model is focused on processing multiple documents. The second model describes a set of keywords based on typical trigram model. Slide number 4. According to the first model, each document includes a set of sentences where each sentence is a union of three sets of keywords. The first set is the words that describe the product. The second set is the end of sentence characters. The third set are words that define the general meaning. In our case, it is advisable to remove the end of sentence characters and leave only the first and third sets. In addition, the first task is to determine the document in which the main meaning or main description of the product is concentrated. So, for search engine optimization, it is advisable for us to identify in the e-content the document where the semantic kernel is described. This is the first model and our first task. The second model already describes the identification of those keywords that define the semantic kernel itself. We single out trigrams in the simplest case. The study showed that working with trigrams does not work in most cases. At the same time, it is effective to use the so-called collocations or stable construction of two or more keywords. In the work, an analysis of the quality metrics of both documents and keywords was carried out. This analysis allowed us to refine the first and second model, sentence and set of keywords. Slide number 5. On slide number 5, you can see a list of metrics that will allow us to highlight the desired document in the e-content, and then the semantic kernel. On the slide number 6, a list of operations that we need to obtain a semantic kernel is presented. First, we perform lemmatization and normalization. This allowed us to truncate the second set of characters in each document. We then proceed the selected document to find collocations and aspect terms. Collocations are the first cycle of the semantic kernel, and aspects will allow us to improve the kernel with keywords of general meaning. At the same time, in order to evaluate either a collocation or an expert term, we use a special metric. That is one of those metrics that were showed on the previous slide. Then the algorithm of the semantic kernel synthesis method, which reflects two processing cycles, is shown on the slide number 7. In the work, several experiments were carried out to highlight the semantic kernel. At what such isolation and application of the kernel in practice showed a positive effect. On the slide number 8, there is a graph of the traffic of a real web resource that provides an online services in United States. The graph shows the moment when the semantic kernel was identified and applied in online marketing. The first cycle, working with web resource documents, is also shown on slide number 8. It can be seen that the kernel was located on the contacts page. On slide number 9, a fragment of e-content is shown, that is real sentences with a semantic kernel. Further, on slide number 10, we already see the process of extracting the elements of kernel. As a result, 10 keywords were obtained that were applied in the search engine optimization process. The results obtained should be analyzed. To do this, let's turn to slide number 8 again. As we see at the beginning of 2018, this web resource is losing its popularity. An idea arose to identify the causes of this situation. According to classical methods of search engine optimization, 3 approaches should be applied. The first is the e-content optimization, the second is online advertising, the third is the optimization of the semantic kernel. It was decided to take the third path, which gave the following results. Firstly, from the point of view of the first approach, e-content optimization, the semantic kernel of the web resource should be placed as much as possible on the main page. As can be seen from the results of our study, this was not done. Moving the kernel immediately gave a positive effect. Secondly, the dedicated kernel was placed in advertising messages through the Google Ads service. Thus, the allocation of the kernel immediately gave a positive effect for this web resource. Thanks for attention.